2 years ago, this weekend, Blue Sky Studios released a delightful tribute to the classic comic strips of Charles Schulz, the Peanuts movie. When it comes to feel-good films of a great message and stunning animation that is both state-of-the-art and wonderfully restrained, this one definitely stands tall. When I first saw the Peanuts movie, I appreciated it as a worthy and loving take on Charlie Brown and Snoopy and the rest of the gang. However, on subsequent viewings, I've come to love it on a further level as a brilliant piece of filmmaking. To understand why, it's best to go back to the beginning of its inception. When the Schulz family sought to create a new Peanuts movie, they wanted to rest it in the hands of a worthy studio and director, one who clearly would take and treat the material with the respect it deserved. Around the time Craig and Brian Schulz began developing the script, they watched Blue Sky and director Steve Mattino's Horton Hears a Who. Seeing how Mattino and his incredible team of artists managed to translate Dr. Seuss's classic story and illustrations to computer animation, they knew exactly who should be given the Peanuts movie rights. People write off the Peanuts movie's successes on the Schultzes keeping a watchful eye and commanding every inch of the production, but I find that greatly discredits Blue Sky and their track record of respecting the original author and their source material. They specifically chose Blue Sky to make the film, rather than say DreamWorks or Sony or Nickelodeon, for a reason. A large part of the charm of the Peanuts movie comes from its simplicity. It's not about Charlie Brown going on some grand epic adventure. The world is not at stake. It's just about him trying to talk to the little red-headed girl and helping out with a book report. Almost the entire film is told from the children's point of view, with no adults in sight. And yet the material is never dumbed down, as the script retains the sophistication of Schultz's original strips and specials. There's an instantly relatable element with Charlie Brown, but what makes him so endearing is he doesn't let the problems that befall him affect his optimism. He doesn't become a pessimistic grump when his kite gets stuck in a tree. He tries again to make sure he can make it soar. Running parallel to all of this is Snoopy's storyline, where he imagines himself chasing the Red Baron through the skies. This was a classic device in the comic strip, and these portions might seem random and disconnected at first, but actually show Snoopy's awareness of Charlie Brown's problems. I love how Snoopy uses Charlie Brown's frequent attempts to inspire the book he's writing. The filmmaking in these sequences is tremendous, and yet even with all the flying around and detailed backgrounds, Mattino still remains largely faithful to Schultz's drawing style. There was always something cinematic about how Schulz drew and framed Snoopy's dogfights, and yet Mattino still keeps the limitations intact, as we never see the bottom of his doghouse. The transitions to these sequences are also cleverly done, again understanding the rules of filmmaking and how to properly bring the audience back and forth between the storylines. The animation is incredible, with the Blue Sky team showing incredible dedication. The character animation and designs look exactly like the strips and television specials. Even with the extra touches here and there that allow it to look a little cleaner than the simple animation Bill Melendez was known for, the movements still have a choppy quality to them. I particularly want to praise Jeff Gabor's animation on Snoopy. The way he snaps within the frames is amazing, and Gabor has obviously studied the rules when it comes to the different angles Schulz drew Snoopy. The computer is known for making animation smooth, but the animators managed to capture that lack of smoothness and fluidity common in the classic specials. There are some nice little hand-drawn sections that are beautifully drawn by B.J. Crawford. I would love to see him direct a new Peanuts special in that style. Adding to the old-school feel is the use of classic technology. I love how they use rotary telephones and the cords are curly. There was not even an ounce of temptation to include modern computers and iPhones or any modern references at all. Steve Mattino trusted the characters would entertain the audience enough that nobody would be bothered by the lack of current devices. And need I mention the voices? Continuing the Peanuts tradition of only using children to voice the kids, casting director Christine Kaplan deserves so much credit for choosing the right youngsters to voice them. Noah Schnapp, who later found further success as Will Byers on Stranger Things, was perfect as Charlie Brown, displaying the proper optimism as well as vulnerability. Alex Garfin captured the intelligence and wisdom of Linus, and Venus Schultheis was hilarious as Peppermint Patty, who was always my favorite of the Peanuts child characters. The only well-known voice used in the Peanuts movie was Kristen Chenoweth as Fifi, Snoopy's girlfriend, which serves as a cute nod to her starting her career as Sally in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. And yes, it is super adorable that they reused archival recordings of Bill Melendez voicing Snoopy in Woodstock. The use of music was also spectacular in the Peanuts movie. Christoph Beck did an excellent job with the orchestral score, going big and soaring for the Snoopy dogfight sequences, and sweet and melancholy for Charlie Brown's storyline. Of course, the classic Vince Guaraldi compositions had to appear in the film, and the filmmakers chose the perfect places to use them. Even the modern songs were not distracting, with Meghan Trainor's Better When I'm Dancing having a classic feel to it that will allow it to age tremendously well in the future. Better When I'm Dancing is a fitting song for Charlie Brown, Snoopy, and the other characters, and I still think the Academy's music branch missed a golden opportunity not nominating it for Best Original Song. Did you hear the nominees that year? Not exactly the most cheery bunch. And now I want to discuss the ending. It's been a source of debate among Peanuts fans about whether it's too happy an ending for Charlie Brown. After all, the whole idea of Charlie Brown is he frequently fails and things just don't go his way. And we certainly see a lot of that through the course of the movie. However, sometimes even the most unluckiest of us is given a good hand by the universe. And after all these years, it was only fair Charlie Brown finally got his chance to talk to Little Redhead Girl. And I love how the movie finally shows that many of the things Charlie Brown deemed as failures come out of some act of goodness and kindness. Even if he ended up flat in his face, those moments where he failed to fly a kite, his perfect scored test turned out not to be his, and he embarrassed himself in the school's talent competition came out of him wanting to accomplish a positive act. This ending was a genuinely emotional one, with a lovely message about how our failures should never get in the way of doing good things. And as if it's not touching enough, the final shot ends with Charles Schulz's signature. The Peanuts movie brings an instant smile to my face whenever I watch it, and I wish there were more movies like this out there. In a world that seems to reward pessimism and how we're constantly bombarded with negative imagery and bleak futures, it's great that films like the Peanuts movie exist to present a positive message in an entertaining and good-natured way. It works on multiple levels, as an animation landmark, a worthy adaptation of a classic comic strip, a nod to childhood innocence, and a poignant reminder of what good things can bring and the importance of always keeping your chin up as you face another day. If Charlie Brown does not give up, why should the rest of us? Thank you to Steve Martino for your wonderful job directing the Peanuts movie. Thank you to Brian Schulz, Craig Schulz, and Cornelius Uliano for your smart screenplay. Thank you to Gene Schulz for helping to keep the Peanuts legacy alive. Thank you to Paul Feig for lending your support to this project. Thank you to the many talented animators and artists for putting all of your skills to making it something special. And thank you to Charles Schulz for creating these timeless strips and lovable characters. We'll keep on reading and watching them forever, Sparky. See you next time.